Welcome to our Immigration Briefing show. Today, we're diving into some big shifts around the globe. First up, the UK government is planning to tighten its immigration rules, aiming to cut migration and regain control amid public frustration over high numbers straining services. Prime Minister Keir Starmer's reforms include restricting visas for low-skilled workers and beefing up border enforcement, all part of an effort to rebuild trust and manage Britain's social landscape. Next, in the US, the crackdown on international students has taken a surprising turn. Over 4,700 students have lost their legal status recently, creating a climate of fear and uncertainty. This move, especially targeting students from China and Hong Kong, threatens America's reputation as a welcoming hub for global talent, potentially pushing students to look elsewhere, like Hong Kong or other countries, for higher education opportunities. Finally, in Canada, the telecom industry is feeling the pinch as tighter immigration policies slow population growth. With fewer newcomers, the surge in mobile subscribers is stalling, prompting companies to rethink their strategies. This slowdown reflects broader demographic shifts, which could have long-term impacts on the country's economic growth and service sectors. Please continue to watch for more detailed insights and updates. The Independent reports that UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is set to announce a significant overhaul of immigration policies, promising to tighten borders and curb the high influx of migrants that has caused public concern. Since the expansion of the EU in 2004, Britain's open-door approach has led to a surge in arrivals, culminating in the controversial Brexit vote of 2016, which was fueled by frustrations over uncontrolled immigration. Despite Brexit, the number of people entering the UK on visas for work, study, or family reunification remains alarmingly high, with recent statistics showing annual net migration at 728,000, far exceeding the government's targets. Voters' dissatisfaction has translated into electoral gains for anti-immigrant parties like Reform UK, prompting Starmer's Labour to adopt a stance promising more control and enforcement, including restricting visas for lower-skilled workers and implementing more selective policies, all while avoiding setting new migration targets to rebuild public trust. SCMP opinion highlights the counterproductive consequences of the U.S. government's aggressive crackdown on international students and scholars, initiated under Donald Trump's administration and continuing into the current political climate. Over 4,700 students faced abrupt legal status revocations, with many accused of minor infractions or political activism, such as participation in pro-Palestinian protests, often without clear explanations. Although some measures have been temporarily halted following legal challenges, the damage persists. Universities advise students to avoid travel, and many are altering academic plans, leading to a decline in Chinese and Hong Kong students. This policy not only diminishes America's appeal as a global educational hub but also undermines its economic and diplomatic interests, as international students contribute significantly to the economy and cultural exchange. The crackdown hampers the rich academic environment fostered by diverse perspectives and risks alienating future talent, ultimately harming the U.S.'s global standing and academic competitiveness. The Toronto Star reports that the U.S. has withdrawn tourist visas from Marina del Pilar Avila, governor of the Mexican border state Baja California, and her husband, without providing specific reasons. Avila expressed her confidence that the situation would be clarified, while her husband emphasized that there was no formal investigation or indictment involved. The visa revocation underscores ongoing tensions and the complexities of U.S.-Mexico relations, especially given the deep economic and social ties between Baja California and California. The incident has caused concern among officials and residents alike, highlighting the fragile nature of diplomatic interactions amid broader geopolitical issues. Despite the confidentiality surrounding visa records, the event has drawn attention to the unpredictable and sometimes opaque nature of U.S. immigration and visa policies, which can have significant personal and political repercussions for individuals in neighboring countries. The New York Star vividly recounts the tense scene outside Newark's Delaney Hall Detention Center, where Newark Mayor Ras Baraka was arrested after trespassing on federal property. The incident unfolded during a visit by three Democratic Congress members, Watson, Coleman, McIver, and Menendez, who aimed to inspect the facility, which has become a focal point of controversy due to its recent reopening and the large-scale contract awarded to GEO Group. As the lawmakers attempted to carry out their oversight, federal agents, some masked, escalated the situation by arresting Baraka outside the fence, igniting a heated confrontation that included shoving and accusations of political gamesmanship. The Congress members accused Homeland Security officials of instigating the chaos, criticizing their handling of the situation, while officials claimed the lawmakers had not requested a formal tour, despite their unannounced visit. The incident underscores ongoing tensions over immigration detention policies, private prison contracts, and the oversight of facilities like Delaney Hall, which is at the heart of legal battles over permits and jurisdiction. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation provides a compelling analysis of Treasurer Jim Chalmers' reflections on Australia's economic predicament, drawing parallels to the reform-driven era of Paul Keating in the 1980s. Chalmers questions whether Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and his Finance Minister have the boldness needed to enact transformative policies, given their cautious approach so far. He emphasizes that, unlike Keating's energetic reforms, today's government appears hesitant, with internal factional struggles and political caution holding back decisive action. Chalmers highlights Australia's current economic struggles, declining productivity, soaring housing costs, and an over-reliance on government spending and immigration, which strain infrastructure and social cohesion. The piece underscores the urgent need for bold policy initiatives, particularly tax reform and infrastructure investment, to address these systemic issues, echoing Keating's historic risk-taking and the necessity of courageous leadership to revitalize the nation's economic future. Yahoo US details the Trump administration's role in fomenting the chaos at Delaney Hall, accusing Homeland Security officials of deliberately creating the confrontation that led to Mayor Baraka's arrest. The Democratic Congress members, who visited the facility to oversee its operations, blame federal immigration agents for instigating the disturbance, which included physical pushings and threats of arrest against the lawmakers. They assert that officials had ample opportunity to de-escalate but instead chose to escalate, with some masked agents acting aggressively as Baraka was detained outside the facility. The incident is set against a backdrop of legal disputes involving private prison operator GEO Group, which holds the contract to run Delaney Hall, and ongoing lawsuits challenging the facility's permits and the broader legal framework of immigration detention in New Jersey. The episode exemplifies the heated political climate surrounding immigration enforcement, private detention, and the Trump administration's aggressive policies, raising questions about accountability and the use of force in immigration-related operations. The Toronto Star reports that the governor of Baja California, Marina del Pilar Avila, recently faced an unexpected diplomatic twist when the United States withdrew her and her husband's tourist visas. Avila, a prominent figure from the Morena party, expressed her trust that the situation would be clarified, though the reasons behind the visa withdrawal remain undisclosed, and the U.S. Embassy has not issued any official comment. This incident underscores the deep commercial and social ties between Baja California and California, making the visa revocation particularly significant in a region characterized by close cross-border interactions. Avila's husband, Carlos Torres, reaffirmed his innocence and emphasized that no formal accusations had been made, highlighting the ambiguity and diplomatic sensitivity surrounding the event. Al Jazeera delves into the controversial statements made by Donald Trump regarding due process rights for undocumented immigrants, revealing a pattern of dismissiveness that echoes his earlier remarks. During a recent NBC interview, Trump questioned whether undocumented immigrants are entitled to due process, despite constitutional protections that affirm these rights for all persons in the U.S., regardless of legal status. His comments, which downplay the legal safeguards, are contrasted with decades of court rulings and constitutional law affirming that due process applies universally. Experts explain that, legally, immigrants, whether legal or illegal, are entitled to fair procedures, including notice of proceedings and the opportunity to defend themselves, although protections vary based on their immigration status. Trump's repeated assertions challenge these principles, sparking ongoing legal battles and criticism from immigration advocates who stress that due process is fundamental to the American legal system. The Toronto Star highlights a significant shift in Canada's demographic landscape affecting its economy, particularly the telecommunications sector. Once buoyed by high immigration rates that fueled rapid subscriber growth for giants like BCE, Rogers, and TELUS, recent policy changes have slowed this trend. The federal government's efforts to curb the influx of foreign students and temporary workers, aimed at alleviating pressure on housing and healthcare, have resulted in a notable decline in population growth, which in turn has dampened the expansion of mobile subscriber numbers. Data shows that in the first quarter, all three major telecom companies experienced their lowest subscriber gains in 4 years, directly linking the slowdown to tighter immigration controls. As Canada's population growth rate drops from its pandemic-era peak, industry analysts warn that the ripple effects could impact economic vitality and consumer markets, illustrating how immigration policies can influence broader societal and economic sectors. The Globe and Mail reports the remarkable story of Rumeysa Öztürk, a Turkish student at Tufts University, who was detained in Louisiana for over 6 weeks after writing a controversial op-ed criticizing her university's response to the Israel-Gaza conflict. Her sudden arrest in Massachusetts and subsequent transfer to Louisiana shocked her legal team, who argued that her detention was unjustified and based solely on her free speech. A federal judge ultimately ordered her release on her own recognizance, emphasizing that there was no concrete evidence linking her to terrorism or any threat to the community. Öztürk, who faced health issues and a disrupted academic journey, expressed her gratitude for the support she received and vowed to continue fighting her case, asserting her faith in the American justice system. Her case highlights the ongoing tensions between free speech rights and immigration enforcement, as well as the potential for political activism to collide with immigration policies. South China Morning Post details Hong Kong's immigration chief's reaction to Ronnie O'Sullivan's possible relocation to the Middle East, following the snooker star's recent hints about changing his residency. O'Sullivan, a 7-time world champion, had previously obtained residency through Hong Kong's talent scheme but has expressed interest in developing his career and life in the Middle East, where he owns a snooker academy in Dubai. The official, Benson Kwok, acknowledged Hong Kong's fierce competition in attracting top talent and noted that O'Sullivan's decision might be influenced by his preparations for new ventures, including a snooker club in Hong Kong. Despite the uncertainties, Kwok praised Hong Kong's successful talent acquisition policies, which have attracted hundreds of thousands of people through schemes like the Quality Migrant Admission Scheme, and highlighted the city's vibrant culture and favorable tax environment that continue to make it an attractive destination for global professionals. BBC reports on the UK government's new plans to curb immigration, particularly targeting lower-skilled workers in the care sector. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper announced that the UK will phase out the recruitment of care workers from abroad, requiring care providers to prioritise domestic hiring or extend visas for existing overseas workers. The government aims to reduce net migration by up to 50,000 over the next year through these reforms, which also include tighter regulations for international students and graduates, ensuring they can stay and work in the UK post-graduation. Critics, including opposition figures, argue that these measures are insufficient, calling for a strict annual migration cap to address record-high net migration figures. The policy shift reflects a broader effort to control immigration levels, with a focus on improving employment conditions for domestic workers and tightening standards within the education sector to prevent abuse and overstaying. The Independent reports that the UK government is implementing a significant crackdown on immigration, particularly targeting overseas recruitment in the care sector. Care homes will soon be prohibited from hiring care workers from abroad, a move driven by efforts to reduce net migration below 500,000 annually. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper highlighted that the surge in international care workers, coupled with insufficient domestic training, has distorted the UK economy and strained the system. The new visa rules aim to prevent reliance on foreign staff, especially after a sharp decline in health and care worker visa applications, plummeting from 129,000 to just 26,000 within a year, raising fears of care home closures amid ongoing staffing shortages. These reforms also include higher English language standards, longer waiting periods for indefinite leave, and restrictions on visa applications from high-risk nationalities, intensifying concerns about the future of UK care services amidst rising migration figures. The Sydney Morning Herald discusses the UK's broader strategy to end what Prime Minister Keir Starmer calls the failed free market experiment in immigration, proposing to restrict skilled worker visas to graduate-level jobs and compel businesses to enhance training for British workers. Post-Brexit policies, which initially aimed to control borders, inadvertently caused a surge in visa applications for lower-skilled roles, tripling since the scheme's inception, contributing to a record net migration of 906,000 in 2023. The government's white paper plans to limit visas for lower-skilled roles to critical sectors like construction and IT, with a focus on increasing domestic employment. Critics, including opposition figures, argue these measures do not go far enough, calling for caps on overall immigration and the repeal of the Human Rights Act to better control the flow of migrants and address the economic and social impacts of high migration levels. The Sydney Morning Herald also sheds light on the disturbing exploitation of migrant women through visa-dependent abuse, highlighting harrowing stories of domestic violence, dowry extortion, and coercive control. Harpreet's case exemplifies how sham marriages are used to secure residency, only for victims to suffer physical and emotional abuse, miscarriages, and threats to their safety if they attempt to leave or report their abusers. Despite police investigations and intervention orders, many women find little recourse due to insufficient evidence and systemic neglect. Experts warn that such exploitation is widespread among migrant communities, often facilitated by cultural practices like dowry, which should be criminalized more openly. Advocates call for increased awareness, better protections, and more decisive action from immigration authorities to prevent these abuses and support victims in breaking the silence surrounding these deeply rooted issues. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Scrolling through the headlines, another crazy day. 6 degrees of stories, connecting in their way. From the weather to the sports, and everything we see. People making news on TV screens for free. 6 degree world, where the news comes in a whirl. Every story ties together like a ribbon in a twirl. Sit back and watch it all, big and small they call. From city lights to countryside, we're connected.